been a long day. By the time I'm finished. So I am acclaimed as the great male interpreter of Gerty McDowell. That I'm the only one doesn't make any difference. So who was this Gerty? Well, I think she was kind of like the sexy younger sister of Molly, the one she always wanted. She doesn't like me mention Molly. Anyway, on June 16th, 1904, Gerty was on the Strand, and she was there with her two besties. Let me see, what are their names? Edie Boardman and Sissy Caffrey. Now, Gerty is a young woman who lives in the heart and the soul and in her mind, and she's very romantic. Her two friends are not that way. They just never shut the fuck up. And this bothers Gerty to no end because it interrupts her stream of thought. Now, off in the distance to set this up, Canon O'Hanlon is officiating at benediction. Now, for those of you who are members of the One True Catholic and Apostolic Church, you know what it is. So you may need to explain to the heathens next to you what this is all about. Yeah. And Gerty gets a feeling that someone is looking at her. You know what that's like, ladies? It comes to the back of your head. And she looks around and she sees a handsome stranger, right? Somewhat foreign looking, but that only adds to the whole thing. And she looks again really quickly, and he is basically devouring her mentally. So let's see one other thing about Gerty. She's very good looking, but she has one flaw. She was hurt in an accident and she is a little lame. So she likes to be in control of things. She doesn't like Sissy and Edie telling her to rush or anything because the flaw will show. So let's see what she's up to, or what Mr. Joyce says she's up to. Do you mind if I have a drink? How moving the scene there in the gathering twilight. The last glimpse of Erin, the touching chime of those evening bells, and at the same time, a bat flew forth from the ivy belfry, through the dusk, hither, thither, with a tiny, lost cry. And she could see far away the lights of the lighthouses, so picturesque. She would have loved to do it with a box of paints because it was easier than to make a man. And soon the lamplighter would be going his rounds past the Presbyterian church grounds and along by shady Tritonville Avenue where the couples walked and lighting the lamp near her window. For Gerty had her dreams that no one knew. She loved to read poetry. And oftentimes, the beauty of poetry, so sad in its transient loveliness, had misted her eyes with silent tears that the years were slipping by for her one by one. And but for that one shortcoming, she knew she need fear no competition from the like of Edie Boardman or Sissy Caffrey. And that was an accident coming down Dalkey Hill that had harmed her, and she always tried to conceal it. But it must end, she felt. If she saw that magic lure in the stranger's eyes, there would be no holding back for her. Love laughs at locksmiths. She would make the great sacrifice. Her every effort would be to share the stranger's thoughts. Dearer than the whole world was the all-important question that she was dying to know. Was he a married man, or a widower who had lost his wife, or some tragedy like the nobleman with a foreign name from the land of song? But even if, what then? Would it make a very great difference? From everything in the least indelicate, her fine-bred nature instinctively recoiled. She loathed that sort of person, the fallen woman off the accommodation walk beside the daughter that went with the soldiers and coarse men, with no respect for a girl's honor, degrading the sex and being taken up to the police station. No, not that. She and the stranger would be just good friends, like a big brother and sister without all that other. Perhaps it was an old flame he was in mourning for. From the days beyond recall, she thought she understood. She would try to understand him because men were so different. The old love was waiting with little white hands stretched out, with blue appealing eyes. Heart of mine, she would follow her dream of love, the dictates of her heart that told her he was her all in all, the only man in all the world for her. For love was the master guide. Nothing else mattered. Come what might, she would be wild, untrammeled, free. Canon O'Hanlon put the Blessed Sacrament back into the tabernacle, and the choir sang, Laudate Dominum omnes gentes. And then the canon locked the tabernacle door because the benediction was over, and Father Conroy handed him his hat to put on. And Crosscat Edie asked, wasn't she coming? But then Jackie Caffrey called out, oh, look, Sissy! And they all looked. Was it sheet lightning? But Tommy saw it too, over the trees beside the church, blue and then green and purple. It's fireworks, Sissy Caffrey said. And they all ran down the strand to see over the houses and the church helter-skelter. Edie with a pushcar with baby Boardman in it, and Sissy holding Tommy and Jackie by the hand so they wouldn't fall running. Come on, Gerty, Sissy called. It's the bizarre fireworks. But Gerty was adamant. She had no intention of being at their beck and call. If they could run like Rossi, she could sit, so she said. She could see from where she was. And what could she see? The stranger's eyes that were fastened upon her set her pulses tingling. She looked at him a moment, meeting his glance, and the light broke in upon her. White-hot passion was in that face, passion silent as the grave, and it had made her his. They were left alone, without the others to pry and pass remarks, and she knew he could be trusted to the death. Steadfast, a sterling man, a man of inflexible honor to his fingertips. His hands and face were working, and a tremor went over her. She leaned back, far to look up where the fireworks were, and she caught her knee in her hand so as not to fall back, looking up, and there was no one to see, only him and her, when she revealed all her graceful, beautifully shaped legs like that, supplely soft and delicate, beautifully shaped legs, round, and she seemed to hear the painting of his heart, his hoarse breathing, because she knew about the passion of men like that, hot-blooded, because Bertha Supple told her once in dead secret and made her swear she'd never tell about the gentleman lodger that was staying with them out of the congested districts board. that had pictures cut out of papers of those skirt dancers and high kickers. And she said he used to do something not very nice that you could imagine sometimes in the bed. But this was altogether different from a thing like that, because there was all the difference, because she could almost feel him draw her face to his, and the first quick hot touch of his handsome lips. Besides, there was absolution, so long as you didn't do the other thing before being married. And there ought to be women priests that would understand without your telling out. And Sissy Cathy, too, sometimes had that dreamy look in her eyes, so that she, too, my dear. And Winnie Rigmingham, so mad about actors' photographs. And besides, it was on account of that other thing coming on the way it did. And Jackie Caffrey shouted, "Look, look, there was another!" And she leaned back, and her garters were blue to match on account of the transparent. And they... I'm getting excited. Hang in there, man, it's coming. Don't come yet. That's what she said to Sarah. And they all saw it and shouted, "Look, look, there it was!" And she leaned back ever so far to see the fireworks, and something queer was flying about through the air, a soft thing to and fro, dark. And she saw a long Roman candle going up over the trees, up, up, and in the tense hush, they were all breathless with excitement as it went higher and higher, and she had to lean back more and more to look up after it, high, high, almost out of sight, and her face was suffused with a divine and entrancing blush from straining back. And he, the stranger, could see her other things too. Nainsook knickers, the fabric that caresses the skin better than those other pettyweight, the green 4 and 11 pence on account of being white. And she let it, and she saw that he saw, and then it went so high it went out of sight a moment, and she was trembling in every limb from being bent back so far back. He had a full view high up above her knee. No one ever, not even on the swing or waiting, that she wasn't ashamed, and he wasn't either, to look in that immodest way like that, because he couldn't resist the sight of the wondrous revealment half offered, like those skirt dancers behaving so immodest before gentlemen, looking. He kept on looking, looking. She would fain have cried out to him. He kept on looking, held out her snowy, slender arms to him to come, to feel his lips laid on her white brow. The cry of a young girl's love, a little strangled cry, wrung from her, that cry that is wrung through the ages. And then a rocket sprang and bang, shot, blinded. Oh, then the Roman candle burst, and it was like a sigh of oh, and everyone cried oh, oh, in raptures, and it gushed out of it a stream of rain, gold hair threads, and they shed, and they were all greeny, dewy stars, falling with golden, oh, so lively, oh, so soft, sweet, soft. Anyone got a cigarette? Then all melted away dewily in the gray air. All was silent. They glanced at him as she bent forward quickly, a pathetic little glance of piteous protest, of shy reproach, under which the stranger colored like a girl. He was leaning back against the rock behind. Leopold Bloom? Where does he stand silent with bowed head, before those young, guileless eyes. What a brute he had been. At it again. A fair, unsullied soul had called to him, and wretch that he was, how had he answered? An utter cad he had been. He, Leopold Bloom of all men. But there was an infinite store of mercy in those eyes. For him too, a word of pardon, even though he had erred and sinned and wandered. Should a girl tell? Should a girl tell? No, 1,000 times no. This was their secret, only theirs, alone in the hiding twilight, and there was none to know or tell, save the little bat that flew so softly through the evening, to and fro, and little bats, they never tell. Canon O'Hanlon sends his forgiveness.